mini apologies there. There's going to be a quick break in the recording. I had something that I had a phone call and had to answer real quick, but I'm back. So we're going to keep going through this now. So they approach the village. Eltran is waiting for them. That's perfect. That's exactly what I said should be happening. Yeah, he sees the girl, and then he sees the totem. I did say that he would recognize what's wrong with the totem in my prompts, so they've got that in here. He insists they bring Kessa back home. It highlights here that there are more carvings there, as I said. And from there, yeah, okay, so this is a nice little touch. So they have Saladin's totem giving off a bit of a hum as they enter, and then one of the carvings that was in the house twitches in the corner. Okay, Eltran examines the bear totem. And again, this is one of those things where it's making an assumption. ChatGPT is still working out the fact that my players have agency over some of this, so it goes about this as if I was writing a book or a story. So it's just saying that Eltran examines the totem. Obviously, I would need to change that to say that he would ask to examine the totem, but we can keep it in here because I'm fairly confident that my group is going to allow him to do that, and if they don't, I'll just change it in the moment. So we can still look at what information he would get from examining it, and then if the group decides not to let him, they just won't get that information. So yeah, it now bears a wound, something that entered when the creature fell. He believes the totem is now a vessel, holding a fragment of the corrupted guardian's essence. It may be bleeding into Saladin slowly, or waiting to wake again. I like that touch. I enjoy that. He offers advice: attempt to cleanse the totem at the base of the warden tree, which may respond to the corruption. Contain it magically, which would require someone in Titan or Verdant Hollow with deeper druidic ties. Or destroy it, which Saladin I don't think would be happy about. It's kind of one of his good luck charms and part of his identity as a World Tree barbarian. So it gives options there for the players to choose between. The next step we've got here in a new scene is the Warden Tree reacts. So obviously this is only going to happen if they go back to the tree. We can account for that in our own mental view of setting up for things. So as Saladin approaches the Warden Tree, it shudders, branches creak, and for a moment leaves fall, not from autumn, but from rejection. A thin root breaks through the soil and slithers toward him, curling slightly towards the totem. Then sensing the corruption, it recoils, and a patch of the bark blackens before their eyes. Okay, so this has the corruption in the tree getting worse because the totem is there. I like that element. It's kind of mentally the direction I was going, which, like I said, because I've been feeding into this for 20 sessions already, it's already kind of gotten an idea and it's starting to learn my style. So it has gotten a lot better than it initially was about predicting things that I'm trying to lean into. Optional hooks from there. Kessa's carvings can be examined. Several resemble corrupted versions of local wildlife. Zethian or Theodore may notice small glyphs on the underside of each carving with Roil-touched resonance. Okay, so it's specifically calling out Zethian or Theodore there because they are the two people in the group that ChatGPT knows are more magically savvy. They have better arcane skills than the rest of the group. Obviously, I would allow for a skill check to see if they do notice that, and we can always, work that into our own story of it. Eltran might mention a carver's curse, an old story about spirits taking root. And then it's offering a battle map and things of that nature. We're not ready for that yet, so let's just make a few corrections. So we already said that we want to correct this line about where the totem is and point out that Hendrik has it, not Saladin. I also want to remind it that we had previously had some other discussions about the cause of all of this. So let me just figure out how I'm going to word that now. Spelling hits me again. Okay, so what I've put in here, if you weren't reading along with me or if my head was in the way of it, I've put in that I've asked ChatGPT to remember that we previously discussed that the corruption was caused by Kessa's grief. Although she does not consciously know about her brother's death, she feels it on a subconscious level, and that's what's actually causing this corruption. We know that, the players do not. So to fix the corruption, the group need to make Kessa aware of the letter's contents about her brother's death, and then help her cope and deal with those events. To do this, though, I'm saying to ChatGPT that we need something that will call attention to the letter on her nightstand and remind the players about it. So I'm just going to feed those changes in now, and we're going to see how it twists that and what it suggests. So a lot of this should be very similar to what we had before, with just those small tweaks and additions. So as you can see now, it's now pointing out that Hendrik is carrying the bear totem. Saladin is carrying Kessa, which is correct. Inside the cottage. So it's a description of the cottage that's a bit better than it was before. The bear totem vibrates. That's the same as it was before. As Hendrik sets the totem down on the table. So again, it's assuming that Hendrik is going to set the totem down. And again, this is something that as a DM, I would need to instigate in some way. If Hendrik decides to set the totem down, great. If he doesn't, maybe someone bumps the table as they go past it. Or maybe as Eltran's coming in, if I don't want to just say that a player bumps it, I can say that Eltran, as he walks in, trips and bumps the table, and I can trigger it that way. And then again it says someone such as Zethian or Theodore passes the nightstand. The letter sits atop the nightstand. So I do know that the group has already read this letter. The group is aware of it, and they know what the letter says. They read it before they went out to find her. Now, the players completely failed to mention anything about it when they found her. So what we're trying to do here is give them a reminder about that letter. So, yeah, optional flavor text. Your eyes pass over a stack of scrap. A letter, folded, sealed, left with care. The envelope pulses slightly in a breeze from the window, almost timed with the totem's glow. This subtle parallel suggests a hidden tether. So, what this is prompting me to then is something, use the totem as a way of suggesting the letter and putting a tie between them. Eltran points out that she never opened it. Now, he had already done that, so I would obviously reword this slightly, but it's still a nice way of kind of tying that in. I am going to copy this out, and I'm going to put it in there, and then I'm going to say this is incorrect. Ultran and the group already discussed the letter before they set out, so he does not need to explain it here. The subtle reminder of the link between the letter and the totem is enough. And then, if the party mentions the corruption of the total, Ultran offers this insight. It's not the royal, not exactly. It's grief. Grief buried too long, poured into her hands as she carved. It turned her gift into a curse. I like that phrasing, but it's not something that Ultran would know for sure. So let's go also revise that statement as Ultran would not know this for certain, although he may likely suspect it. To cleanse the totem, they must address the root of the corruption. Tessa's sorrow, which stems from not knowing her brother is gone. Once she faces the truth, the energy unknowingly channeling can be released. So let's just go ahead and put in those changes. And it's now going to give us a revised section of the framework. Okay, so this has changed it around slightly based on that information, and Ultran now points out that he recognizes that the totem has changed, which I like. That's good, because he did see the totem before they left, and it does look different now. So, yeah, again, she carved all of this while grieving something she didn't understand, I think. I think the pain seeped into the wood. So, again, this has changed it so that it's not a fact, but it's clearly something that he's been pondering since their departure. The letter and the reminder works well. Yep. Optional development is the tree's reaction to it. And I think that's a good outline for the scenes for the next section. Now, I then also want to look at this and I want to think there should be a possibility of a combat encounter here. And it shouldn't be guaranteed, but I want there to be a branching path where that does happen. So I'm going to look into that next. Not confront Kessa about the letter, or one in which they do so in a way that upsets her more, rather than soothing her. In that case, the carvings around her home might end up animating like the ones in the forest did. In that event, the group will once more find themselves facing corrupted versions of local wildlife. They have already faced wolves, boars, and a sky heron. What other local wildlife might Kessa have carved? So here's where I'm gonna then, like I said, I'm twisting it and I'm getting ChatGPT to suggest some new ideas. Now I could just name, you know, squirrels, beavers, snakes, whatever. I could do this. I've done it for 20 years of DMing D&D. But with this tool here, what I like about it, and what I like about letting it suggest things, is it gets me out of my ruts. You know, just me being me, I'm always going to think of a wolf, a snake, a bear. But I want variety for my players. I want to give them more variety than necessarily what's actively in my head right now. So by asking it this question, it's going to suggest a few things, and there's going to probably be something in there that I look at and I think, no, I'm not interested in that at all. But there also might be something in there where I go, ooh, that's great, I like that, and I didn't think of it. So let's see what it comes up with for us. So it's currently searching through. I've got files on various flora, fauna, and you see, here we go. Based on detailed information in Flora and Fauna of Allendar, which is one of the reference documents that I've currently or previously uploaded, and the established regional setting near Dare, close to Thornhold and Ashvale, here are some suggestions. So glowtoads. Glowtoads are an animal that I have previously mentioned exist on this world. They've been used in some of the short stories. So they are something that we know is in the world. Six-legged pack beasts. Interesting. So they're a royal mutated animal in the area. Sky herons, which were already used. Face-sensitive bees. I don't like that one. Wild deer or stags. That one I like. Foxes or forest cats. That could work. Moss-crested turtles, a species known in regional marshes. That could be good. Small bears or cubs. We've used those before. So, I'm going to let it suggest me some stats for an encounter based on the ideas of this that I like. And again, all of this needs to be checked. So I might not do it while we're here on the video, but after I've done this, I will take the look at the stats that it's given me. I'll compare them to some of the stats in the DMG, and I'll look at what I think the balance of our party is like, and I will make sure that I'm happy with the balance of the encounter. But for now, I'm going to let it suggest what it thinks would be a good encounter for our group. So let's put in here, I like the idea of, which ones did I say I liked here? A wild stag, a turtle, and possibly some of the glowtoads. Can you suggest a difficult encounter for 4 level 5 characters in a D&D 5e setting using those animals while giving each animal some unique warped element to their nature. So now it's actually going to come up with some stat blocks or some ideas for these creatures. So a corrupted stag is the main boss, a rot-back turtle as a defensive brute, and a swarm of glowtoads of woe as hazard and battlefield control. Each has a unique royal or grief-infused traits. So the corrupted stag is a large beast, 15 AC, 112 hit points and 50 speed, 18, 14, 16, 2, 14, 6. Stats look okay. Traits. Thorned Majesty is an aura. So creatures within 10 feet of it make a wisdom save or suffer disadvantage on melee attack rolls. I like that. Make it harder for the group to hit it. Grief Charge. Stag charges 40 plus feet in a straight line, goring a target, then emits a psychic shockwave. I like that. The warped boars that they fought had a charge attack that was their primary attack previously. But this is a bit different from that in that it's a rechargeable ability for one, so it's not going to be their main thing they do, but it's something that's in their back pocket. And it emits a shockwave to any nearby creatures as well, which is a bit different. I like that. I can work with that. So actions, 2 attacks, so a gore and a hoof, phase through trees once a day. So again, that's giving it a once a day ability that's quite nifty, that can possibly catch the group off guard. Next is the turtle, a medium construct, 18 AC, 85 hit points, speed 20, so it's slow, as you would expect from a turtle. Shell of Spores. So if it's hit with a melee attack, con save, or poison damage. I like that, because we do have a lot of melee in the group, especially Saladin with his big hammer. Rooted Tenacity. Immune to forced movement and cannot be knocked prone. Again, brilliant, because Saladin, our group's barbarian, specifically works around knocking things prone. So this means that he's not going to be able to do that with this. It means that if he does go up against the turtle, that puts him at a disadvantage, which means that strategically there's an advantage for him going after, say, the stag while Hendrik attacks the turtle, if they can work that out. Grave Silence Aura. No verbal spells may be cast within 10 feet of the turtle. Interesting ability as well. It's got a bite attack and a shell slam on a recharge. I can work with that. And then the Swarm of Tiny Beasts. So again, adding a swarm enemy here adds more variety to the fight. I wouldn't have thought of necessarily putting glowtoads into a swarm, so that's neat. I like it. Blinding Pulse. Okay, so we have had a creature with a Blinding Pulse before. It was the fish monster they fought a few weeks back. So I like that. Again, this is the kind of thing that kind of puts Zethian at a bit of a disadvantage with the fact that he's primarily a very ranged attacker. So if the toads can Blinding Pulse him, that means he's not shooting the bigger enemies. So again, it gives me a bit of that tactical battlefield feel for it. I like that. And then Harmony Fracture. When the swarm takes 15 damage in a round, it lets out a discordant chime. Okay, so again, I like that. It means that if Zethian does decide to shoot the toads, and he hits them with his big gun, then if they happen to be near anyone else, it's going to give them problems. I like that. And then they've got a swarm bite. And then it's even going to give me some dynamics on how the creatures fight. So the creatures animate one by one as Kessa screams or is pushed emotionally. The glowtoads fall from rafter jars first. The turtle animates from under her bed or porch foundation. The stag bursts through a window in the final surge of energy. So it's a stepped encounter in that aspect. I can work with that. I like that. The stag is fast and terrifying. The turtle punishes melee. The glowtoads disorient casters and provide visual chaos. Again, so you see it's thought about different roles for each of these. And then it's also pointed out that this also may trigger the bear totem to do something. I like that. So, based on all of that information, I think really that's enough for the next session. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if all of this information can kind of be summed up in a nice way, and I'm going to see if I can phrase a question that will allow that. So, perfect. I like what we have created here. Can you write me a session guideline detailing the scenes and major events we want to occur, with the optional combat path showing full encounter stat blocks for our creatures. And while it's analyzing and doing that, I'm going to scroll down through my campfire, which is where I keep everything for my sessions. And as you can see, I've even got a few things there that are for future sessions that have not occurred yet. We're going to create a new file, session 23. I'll add the date later. Oh no, I don't want it to be... And you see, again, sometimes it decides to do charts and things which don't translate well. So I'm just going to ask it to provide that information again as narrative and text blocks rather than a chart. And here we go. We've got a session outline. What the carving forgot. So we've got scene 1. We've got Kessa's cottage and the bear totem. The letter's presence called out. Optional combat. And then we've got all of the stats for the creatures here. I'm going to go ahead and grab this and start copying it as it continues to roll downwards. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that over here as my outline. And then we're going to take it a step further now. So, we've got the corrupted wild stag, and I'm going to get some imagery now. You provide me an image to match the corrupted wild stag we have created. And I love this about ChatGPT because although there are lots of kind of image creation AI sites out there, with them you have to provide it an exact prompt of what you want. With this, because we're working in the same chat and the same project that we've been in previously, ChatGPT already knows what we have discussed about this creature, what we've talked about, what we've created, what it's come up with, and what I've added to it, and it's going to be able to generate me an image that I can then take and drop into Token Creator and create a token that I can use for this game that's going to be a decent representation of what we're looking for. And as that's creating that, that's already looking very nice. I like the look of that. It's obviously a stag. It's forest related but dark, I'm thrilled. I like that. I like that. So we're going to move on to the next one. And it's going to be the same prompt, basically. Can you provide me an image to match the rock-packed turtle we have created? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through these and I'm going to create tokens for these creatures. And then I can, even if I choose to, I can ask it for a battle map. So I'll show you how to do that next. We'll just wait for this one to come through. While it's doing that, I'll go ahead and start building the next prompt. So, next, can you provide me a battle map for this encounter? We want the map to include the inside of Kessa's cottage, a small house with a main room, 2 bedrooms, and a kitchen, as well as space for the combat to spill onto the road outside. We want this to be a large map using 5 feet by 5 feet squares as a grid, and being at least, let's say, 20 squares by 20 squares. I like how that turtle has come out as well. So I will need to go back and do the glowtoad image as well, but for now, we'll put this in and we'll see what we get for a battle map. And again, if I'm happy with this map, I'll keep it and I'll use it. I'll drop it into Roll20. If I'm not, I can either ask it to try again, or I can go and I can create a battle map elsewhere if I so choose. That's the brilliance about this, is it's going to suggest things, it's going to come up with ideas, it's going to create things that are going to help us, but we don't have to use any of it. It's still very much my campaign that I'm running. I'm just using this to make it so much easier than it used to be back in the days of trying to either go online to find a random image that works, or go into a map generation program and make a map. As you can see, it's literally just taking a couple minutes and I'm gonna have a map here. So you can see there's a bedroom there with a window, so that's a way out, a door into the other bedroom, the main room, there's another window, and a door. So lots of ways for the combat to spill out into the outside area, lots of room outside. I'm happy with that map. You know, Dare is a forest town, and the house is on the edge of town, so the fact that there are not any other houses shown in the map is very easy to say, oh, there's another house, you know, just off the map here, and just off the map here, and maybe even just off the map here, in the different directions the roads are going. But it's contained enough, but big enough for my group and the enemies. So there we are. I will download these images. I will need to go back and create one for the glowtoads. And actually, I'm just going to make it even quicker by just copying that and then changing it to that. And yeah, there you go. In what, 20 minutes, I've gone through and I've created a decent outline for a session that I'm going to have next Monday. And yeah, I'll still need to go through and, you know, drop these into Token Creator, create some tokens. That takes all of 5 minutes. Adding the map to Roll20 will take 5 more minutes. But this is condensed what used to be 4 or 5 hours of game prep into half an hour. And I would love people to comment below what you think about using AI to run games, not just giving it control. I don't want to hear about, oh, I can just, tell it what to do and it just runs the game for me. I'm not looking for that, and I'm not interested in that. It's always going to be my game that I'm running. I'm just using this as a tool to make it quicker and easier. And I'd love to hear comments on people that what you think about using it in this way to help you create and run interesting games. I like that image of the toads, by the way. Yeah, so comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know, do you think this is a good idea, bad idea? Have you been using AI to help with running your games? Is it something that you've never thought about or you're going to try now? Let me know, and we'll see where things go from there. If there are any other topics about game prep or AI for D&D that you guys are interested in, comment below. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch up with you guys in the next one. Until then, have a great day. Bye-bye.